Shalom, shalom. I want to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kadash. My name is Brother Napak from the Camp Prophets in Babylon, down here in Tampa Bay, Florida. And I want to give a double honor to the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who teach you real well. Peace and blessings to all for the lake, to anyone else listening in. And I want to get into a quick lesson. All right. This lesson is going to be, based on the topic of, having a strong mind, our mental fortitude, okay? And ultimately, just meditating in the spirit on this topic, is something that, we all must have, and the Lord is giving us through, experience, all right, is that strong mind, all right, and that mental fortitude, that mental strength, all right, because we're coming into a time where your mind, your mental, all right, will be challenged, okay? And even now, your mind or your mental is challenged, with demons or, Satan, trying to get at you. And ultimately, that is preparing us for a time where ultimately our minds are strengthened enough, all right, to endure, all right, what it's going to have to endure in the coming hell, all right? And this is a scripture I want to get first. This is 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7 says, "For Yahweh hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." All right, in the NLT it says, "For Yahweh has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." All right. And ultimately, the Lord has given us, a spirit of, power and love, and that sound mind, that self-discipline and strength, that strengthened mind, because ultimately through experience in this truth, through gaining knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, through going through, different types of circumstances where you had to, where your mind was being challenged, where your spirit was being challenged, through demons, all right, through Satan, through Esau, Edom, your mind, your mental is mentally being challenged and, forced to be strengthened, forced to be strong, through the challenges and the circumstances the Lord will put you through, all right? And in order to get through that, the next challenge, you have to pass the first, all right, or the challenge before that, you know what I'm saying? And throughout that whole thing, is you gaining discipline, you gaining endurance, you gaining patience, you gaining, because patience is going to suffering as well. So you're able to suffer, without your mind being polluted, all right, with demons and overtaken by demons, okay? Because you have faith, you have belief enough to know that ultimately these things are going to happen, and doing what you have to do for the Lord will continue to take care of you, So and especially in this truth is, we go through it the most, man. All right, this is the battle that we go through the most. Jake in the road, they may go through, certain depression, demons, and all different type of things, but we go through it the hardest, and that's because you have this truth. That's because you have this knowledge and this understanding. All right, you're the light of this world, so demons will rather, overtake you than a regular nigga they pollute any other day, that they overtake any other day, they that's already overtaken. All right, so instead they would rather go for the man that has that knowledge, all right, that's fighting against the flesh, that's fighting against them, all right, and they want to be able to destroy you, all right, and overtake you, so that's why you must grow a mind, of strength, all right, have a spirit of, endurance, all right, and patience, and all these different characteristics, spiritual characteristics, to battle against this flesh and against the demons that, torment the flesh, okay? And ultimately, the demons that try to torment the spirit, all right, but entices the flesh, okay? That's the better, saying, the demons entice the flesh and fight against the spirit through the flesh, okay? And that's why, the scripture says it, the scripture I just brought out, the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, all right? So we got to let that fearfulness go away. The flesh is going to be the flesh, man, but the spirit, our spirits, the spirits that we have on us, we continue to conquer this flesh, all right, and the fear of this flesh with bravery, all right, with, courage from the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, okay? And that's where you get, the spirit of power and love and, a sound mind, all right, because in Jacob's trouble, when all hell breaks loose, scripture says, several women shall take a hold of one man. I mean, that man being a prophet, a man of the Lord. All right. But the reason why is because that man will have the mind to be able to get through, all right, Jacob's trouble, to get through the hell breaking loose, because the regular niggas that, they were used to and, hung around with Pookie and Ray Ray, they have, gone crazy. All right. They have, gone pale, like Jacob, or Jeremiah 30:7, where Jacob's trouble says, their face turned to paleness, because it's like a time never before. So a lot of those niggas are going to be sent off to war. A lot of them are going to be scared shitless, the mighty men, the big young YNs with switches, all these niggas, they ain't gonna be nothing in that day. So they're gonna seek for them a man of the Lord that has a sound mind and faith in the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And ultimately, those are gonna be the men that the Lord has already strengthened through the afflictions and the chastisement and the challenges that he has put us through now to fulfill the purpose that he has called us to do. This is James chapter 4 and verse 7. It says, submit yourselves therefore to Yahweh. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. And NLT says, so humble yourselves before Yahweh, resist the devil and he will flee from you. All right. So ultimately, we are resisting the devil, resisting Satan, resisting these demons, that try to plague and chastise and overtake our mind. All right. We resist them through the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, through humbling and submitting ourselves to the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right. 2/3 niggas have not done that. All right. So the devil, has a playing field and a playground within their minds and within their heads, but not ours. All right. We're able to resist the devil. We're able to, come to the Lord and pray against Satan and his demons and the things that, Satan tried to do to afflict and destroy us. All right. And we resist him, through our mind of fortitude, our mind of strength. And if I can grab that word fortitude real quick. All right. It says the word fortitude, it goes into courage in pain or adversity. All right, so this is the courage and the bravery you have through pain and adversity. And a lot of times your mental is the first thing that Satan wants to go for. All right, when these demons and Satan, wants to chastise you, they go for your mental. They go for your mind. All right, so that's why you must have a mental fortitude. That's why the scripture says resist the devil, because what he's trying to do is go for your mind, go for your spirit, destroy you inwardly, all right? Because that's where you're most connected to the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right, so if your mind is overtaken by demons, you can very well fall out of this truth. You can very well fall back into the world, or, allow yourself to fall into more demons that will allow you to, be depressed and all these different things, or that Satan tries to do to overtake you. All right, so that's why you have to have a mental fortitude, courage and within the pain and the adversity. You're supposed to love to suffer. All right, and demons and Satan and Esau, Edom, none of them can really mess with you once you understand to love to suffer. All right, once you begin to love to suffer, you begin to love, the pain, have courage and bravery through the pain, where you no longer, run from it. All right, but you go through it. You walk through it, man, like it's nothing. All right, and that's the spirit we must have on us, because we're going to be walking through, a lot of things. All right, a lot of things, meaning death, death of family members, death of people around us. All right, the hour of temptation, persecution, demonization, all these things that will destroy a mind, are the mind of a weak man. All right, the mind of a weak man. All right, and to destroy the person that has no courage, or that's weak in the faith. All right, so that's why the Lord is strengthening us, because we're gonna have to go through that. We're gonna have to go through the demonization. We're gonna have to go through the persecution. We're gonna have to go through, family trying to out us and, deliver us unto death, and family, betraying us, and friends and loved ones. All these different things that brothers are gonna have to go through, that your mind is gonna have to be mentally prepared for. Because if it's not, all right, you won't be able to. Hold on, Salaki. If it's not, you won't be able to endure, all right, the hell that's to come upon this place. You won't be able to endure. Or a lot of guys won't even be able to make it, or have not even been able to make it, all right, now, okay, because of their mental weakness, because of their spirit wasn't strong, because they didn't have enough faith, because they wasn't spiritually girded within this truth, okay, so I'm gonna grab this precept as well. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse 14. This is in the G&T. It says, put earthly cares away from you. All right, and those earthly cares can very well go into family matters, and just all these different things that concerning your life here in this earth. The scripture tells you to put those cares away from you. All right, not meaning it's not meaning to not be attentive, all right, or show attention to them, all right, but more so just don't allow it to overtake you, all right, because that's another way demons can get through to you, all right. That's another way demons can try to overtake you, is through your earthly cares. So understand that everything here is temporary. The fashion of this world passes away, all right, and with that understanding, once you do lose things, once you do, once family members forsaking you and you being betrayed, it won't really ultimately mess with you, because you already expected it. You already expected for this to be an outcome. You already expected for Jake to betray you, all right? So you have to put away those earthly cares, that mindset of, this is a forever thing. All right, or this is something that I will need. Okay, because the Lord can take away anything, your family, your kids, or anything, bro, and you have to be prepared to be able to have the mental fortitude to go through that and survive and endure. All right, be resilient enough to endure that. Okay. So, going on, it says, put earthly cares away from you. Throw down your human burdens. All right, which is, these feelings, man. All right, emotions. Those things, those are human burdens. All right. It says, and lay aside your weak human nature. Put all your anxieties aside and get ready to leave this world quickly. All right, so put away all those anxieties, and those anxieties are demons. All right, that's Satan. That's what I was talking about, So you have to have the mental fortitude to fight against the anxiety, to fight against, depression or anything, brothers go through. You got to have the mental fortitude to fight against it, the resilience. All right, you have to be resilient enough to go against it, to be able to come back from that. All right, because ultimately, like I said, you may lose things. Scripture says, prepare thyself for temptation. Prepare your soul for trials. For affliction, for hell, for things that you may have to go through that you have not expected to go through. Prepare your soul for that and expect the unexpected. All right? Expect the unexpected. All right? You may have a friend or, people around you that you expect to be down for you, but expect for them to betray you. Expect for, your woman to betray you, your family, your mother, your sister, your brother. These people to leave at any moment and betray you, because ultimately Jake will have it where they're so mentally attached to things of this world that if these things leave today, Jake will be, Jake will lose their mind, man. And that's not something you want to do. You don't want to lose your mind. You want your mind to be strong enough to not be lost, all right, within the trials and the affliction and the hell and the suffering, all right? Because you're going to have to suffer. That's a part of this truth. That's a part of being a prophet, is suffering, persecution, falsely accused. All these things that's going to be put upon you. You got to stand within it, all right, and go through it and have the mind strong enough, all right, to overcome it. A lot of it can be a lot, bro. Persecution, your family betraying you, your loved ones betraying you, you're getting falsely accused of different things that you never did. All right? Esau on your back, your family on your back, you constantly on the run. You have to have a strong mind to go through that, bro. All right? And the scripture says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time. So, like I said, to gain that strong mind, you have to grow within the wisdom, with the understanding, and the knowledge. And it comes with experience as well. But those things is what's going to keep you in this truth, what's going to keep your mind, all right, from being lost. All right, so this is something that we must, all right, take heed to. All right, you must pay attention to is your mind, your mental mind, all right, the strength of your mind. Okay? Get in the spirit of that everything here is temporary. Get in that spirit now before you have to understand it the hard way later. And you may not be ready for that hard way. Okay? So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect and the ones listening in. I just want to get into a quick lesson on that. I want to give our praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Once again, Devil Honest Elders and Apostles, a great millstone who teach and rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom, Akim.